What's happening, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to another episode of The Drop, the weekly show that lets you know the hottest games coming out across the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, the PC, the Switch, whatever they might be coming out on, we will talk about them right here. This week, Mafia Definitive Edition is coming out on the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC, bringing a fresh coat of paint to an iconic classic title. On top of that, Halo 3 ODST is coming to the Master Chief Collection on PC, Escape to the Caribbean with Port Royale 4, and we have more games to dive into than even that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. To kick things off, we have Mafia Definitive Edition coming out on the PS4, the Xbox One, and the PC. Remade from the ground up, rise through the ranks of the Mafia during the Prohibition era of organized crime. After a run-in with the mob, cab driver Tommy Angelo is thrust into a deadly underworld. Initially uneasy about falling in with the Salieri crime family, Tommy soon finds that the rewards are too big to ignore. So a bit of history about the original Mafia. It launched on PC in 2002, and then it came to PlayStation 2 and Xbox in 2004. So depending on how you want to break this down, the game is between 16 and 18 years old. That's nothing to shake a stick at. That's a pretty large amount of time. So it definitely warrants an entire remake, which is what we are getting this week. This is not a remaster. This is something that has been rebuilt from the ground up on a brand new engine in a modern console space. A lot of people say that the original Mafia is the best of the trilogy. Personally, I lean towards Mafia 2, but that's probably the nostalgia talking. The good news is you don't have to choose, because for $60 you can get the entire trilogy, which is launching this week. That includes Mafia Definitive Edition, Mafia 2 Definitive Edition, and Mafia 3 Definitive Edition. Of course, all of these including every piece of DLC. Ultimately, that is your complete and total bundle. Now, if you do just want to get Mafia Definitive Edition, it is coming out this week for $40, so a bit of a budget title, but it certainly does look to be a phenomenal addition to your collection if you do want to pick it up this week on PS4, Xbox One, or PC. Next up, Halo 3 ODST is the next installment in Halo the Master Chief Collection. Now optimized for PC, experience the events preceding Halo 3 through the eyes of orbital drop shock troopers as they return to familiar ground and attempt to uncover the motivations behind the Covenant's invasion of New Mombasa. Isolated and vulnerable, use stealth and precision to survive the dangers of the Covenant occupation in a gripping new take on combat in the Halo universe. So if you are playing Master Chief Collection on Xbox One, you won't notice a difference, and you probably have already come to the conclusion, hey, wait, hold on, Halo 3 ODST has been on my dashboard for quite some time. Indeed it has. This is a new addition to the PC version of Master Chief Collection, which has essentially been rolling out the games in a procedural kind of way since the beginning of 2020. With that being said, there is still some new content for those that are playing on Xbox to dive into as well, because this is the beginning of Season 3. So if you do want to dive in, earn some sweet skins, you can start booting back up those Halo experiences that we all know and love so well. Personally, I am still a little bit leaning towards Halo 4 as my most anticipated addition to the Master Chief Collection on PC, because I think that multiplayer is absolutely phenomenal. I know that I am largely in the minority on that, but man, do I love some Halo 4. With that being said, if you do want to dive in this week, Halo ODST is getting added to the Master Chief Collection, or you can buy it outright for $10 on Steam or the Microsoft Store. Next up, Going Under is a very charming little indie coming out on the PS4, the Xbox One, the Switch, and the PC. Going Under is a satirical dungeon crawler about exploring the cursed ruins of failed tech startups. As an unpaid intern in the dystopian city of Neo Cascadia, you'll wield office junk as weaponry as you make your way through the offbeat procedural dungeons beneath your company campus. The future is whack. Failed businesses no longer just cease to exist, they sink beneath the earth, and their employees are cursed to wander the halls for eternity as monsters. It is your duty to put these monsters out of their misery and repossess their assets so that your boss can afford a new car or something. Not all heroes get paychecks. Battle through the remains of failed startups themed off of gig workers, dating sites, and cryptocurrency. Uncover the true motives of your employer, a carbonated drink startup known as Fizzle, and their parent company, a subscription box manufacturer with an army of helpful shipping drones. Make friends with your coworkers, hire a freelance goblin, date a slime, invest in crypto, set a rideshare on fire. Now, the gameplay itself looks to be pretty straightforward. It is a dungeon crawler, it is a beat-em-up style game. Looks like there are plenty of new bells and whistles for you to explore and dive into and play around with as you get through these dungeons. But the main draw for me in Going Under is the fact that it's essentially a commentary on modern tech startups, of which there are plenty across the world. And it is incredibly accurate because a lot of these just get absorbed into some unknown space, never to be seen again once they do end up going financially bankrupt. But it's fun to see how people interpret this and how they can portray it in an art style that is a video game. I love the idea, I love the concept, and I really hope this one does well. But if you do want to check out Going Under, it's coming out this week on the PS4, the Xbox One, the Switch, and the PC. And to round out today's show, Port Royale 4 is coming out on the PS4, the Xbox One, the Switch, and the PC. Set sail and join the colonial powers of Spain, England, France, and the Netherlands in their fight for supremacy of the Caribbean in the 17th century. In Port Royale 4, you will take control of a colony as a young and ambitious governor who is eager to learn what it takes to manage and grow his small settlement into a bustling trader city. Develop production chains connecting multiple islands and create complex trade routes across the Caribbean, covering the ever-growing needs of the respective cities. Make use of the detailed sea map to avoid stormy weather regions, cliffs, or shallow waters. Fulfill tasks for your nation's viceroy, earning more fame to unlock town buildings, ships, and more. Conquer the cities of rival nations or hunt down their fleets with a letter of marque, while also keeping a keen eye out for pirates and other privateers. So I mentioned that last chunk because it sounds like that's changing up the gameplay. I have never touched a Port Royale game in my entire life, but it seems like it's a game that many of you out there will probably enjoy. So if you do want to check this one out this week, it is coming out on the PS4, the Xbox One, the Switch, and the PC. Before we wrap up today's show, we have one honorable mention, and that is Twin Breaker: A Sacred Symbols Adventure is coming out on the Xbox One and the Nintendo Switch after launching earlier this year on PS4 and Vita. Of course, this is a game that is centered around two of your protagonists, Colin Moriarty and Chris Raygun, who host the Sacred Symbols podcast. It was developed by Lilymo Games earlier this year, and it looks like it is a pretty good arcade action-packed time. But that rounds out today's episode of The Drop. If you enjoyed this one, drop me a like down below and let me know what games caught your eye. I would love to hear your thoughts or what you are picking up this week. Or are you saving your cash for the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X? Maybe a new 3080 graphics card, who knows? Will we even get any of these this year? I mean, you might be able to get a pre-order in, who knows when that'll actually come, but I digress. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show, and if you did, hit that subscribe button, but until next time, I will see you soon. Peace.